Yo, what's going on guys? Dr. Schwartz here. Welcome back to another Gears 5 video. Today I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks guide for Blademaster in PvE, so Horde and Escape. I'm going to be starting a video series shortly here where I'm going to be discussing some tips and tricks for each PvE class. So today I'm going to be starting with Blademaster, and be on the lookout on the channel for the future videos for the other classes. So let's get started here. Tip number 1, you can easily deal with juvies via meleeing them as they walk around the wall. This gives you the upper hand on the situation, so you can get the one quick melee in. With Brawler, you're pretty much going to kill them in one hit. In the later ways, you can kill them with the bleed. So yeah, easy way to take down juvies. Tip number 2, in earlier Horde waves, it's beneficial to use the Gnasher and melee combo, also known as the reverse two-piece. Method to take down enemies before you obtain a breaker mace or a weapons locker. So what I mean by reverse two-piece is instead of meleeing an enemy and then shooting it with the Gnasher, you want to shoot the enemy and then melee it, roll back, shoot it again with the Gnasher, melee it, roll back. It usually works really well on Scions and a lot of the bigger enemies in the earlier waves at Horde to get you through those early waves. So that's pretty useful method, especially when your bleed perk isn't maxed yet. Moving on to tip number 3, and that is to use Flashbangs or active M-bar rounds to stun larger enemies like Tier 1s and Scions to make them easier to melee. And Flashbangs are really valuable for Blademasters, especially when you want to flashbang some heavies. That way you have an ability to use your ultimate and not go down while try and activate it, so always keep flashbangs on you. Tip number 4, when dealing with Scions, melee and then roll back or to the left to avoid melee damage from the Scion. So one thing you notice is that Scions will swing at you with their left arms, so you want to avoid melee jumping to the right. You want to either jump to the back or to the left to prevent being hit. There's a bit of timing and practice involved in that maneuver, and I'll show some gameplay of it here. And also, DR1s will also behave in the same way. They'll also melee with their left arm, so you want to dodge them in the same fashion. Tip number 5, when dealing with Guardians or Sentinels, you can flashbang them and melee them if they're at the edge of a ramp, typically the top of the ramp. They're on low cover. Easy opportunity to melee them, or slam them with a breaker mace, or melee them with a breaker mace. Tip number 6, when dealing with Bastions, try to find a group of enemies nearby and use your ultimate ability with shock chain equipped. If the enemies are close enough, the shock chain bleed will transfer over to the Bastion. Alright, moving on to tip 7, don't throw or plant shock grenades in the spawn areas or wherever the Blademaster is set up at. Doing so will immobilize the Blademaster and render them basically useless for a few seconds, and they won't be able to kill anything, and they'll just die. So, might be pretty obvious, but try to avoid playing shock grenades. Tip number 8 is not really a tip, it's more of a card suggestion. If you're running Horde, I recommend Energy Surge. It's a great skill card. Provides you constant stim and healing if you're within 10 meters of a power tap, and if you're within 10 meters of multiple taps, it'll stack, so it's really useful there. Shock Shield is a great card too, but I prefer Energy Surge more because the problem with Shock Shield is you do get stim once you activate the ultimate, but you don't regenerate it after that point. So I recommend Energy Surge if you play Horde. For Escape, you want to swap out probably, because there's no taps, you probably run Short Range Deflection or Venom Resistance, or both depending on the hive. And then finally, tip number 9, you can kill all the bosses and mini-bosses using Electro Blade, the ultimate ability, except the Matriarch. It has a melee immunity, so you can't melee it with your regular melee, or the Breaker Mace melee, or the ultimate melee. The only way you can kill the Matriarch is to slam the mace on the ground nearby it, or use Shock Chain, use the ultimate, and have residual Shock Chain bleed on the Matriarch. So that's the only boss that you can't kill with the Blademaster directly. You have to slam the mace on the ground. The Striker can, but that's a separate class for a separate video. And that is pretty much all the tips and tricks I've got for Blademaster. Just want to make a quick short quick tips and tricks guide for y'all. Be sure to leave any comments or concerns, questions at the end of the video. And yeah, that is pretty much the end of the Blademaster tips and tricks guide for Gears 5 PvE. Just wanted to make a quick short video. Yeah, leave any comments below. Y'all have a good one, and thank y'all so much for watching. See you.